I hope you're here for a freight report or just a chat. Hope you got your coffee. We're going to talk about it here after 2 minutes. Check 1, 2. Hey, hey, hey. How is everybody doing this morning? Let's get rid of this. Remove. Good morning. Hope all is well. My hair's wet, so I just got out of the shower. But we have our coffee. Oh, look at that! Ooh, look at that. And it's Friday, October 17th. Can you believe that we're like in October now? We're in the final stretch of the quarters. So, anyways, I hope all is well. Weather seems to be acting up a little bit. It's not quite time for me to start doing that as part of my morning report. But you know, we're supposed to get some bad weather this weekend, so hopefully we'll survive. Is seeing that storms have affected us this year. It's been an interesting time. So, but anyways, yesterday was a very frustrating day. I did, if you're a member of the channel, I did a members only um, video about some of the struggles of owner operators, and I had a really good conversation with a good friend of mine last night, and it's motivated me to do more membership videos. So if you're a member, I thank you. I apologize that I haven't done enough membership videos, but that will soon change. Other than that, a lot of exciting things happen at Like Trucking, and it's been keeping me busy. So, and then in my personal world, I've been doing some more music. I got this pedal. It's called the Head Rush MX5, and it is science fiction. It's pretty much what it is. So I've been learning that. So, but anyways, Mrs. A, everybody give a thought and prayer to her. She's not feeling very good. She is working, but she is definitely not quite down for the count, but she's been under the weather. So we're here at the household. We're trying not to get what she had. So you're right, TJ. Time is flying by. Time is flying by. So let's go to the comments here, and then which there's not many. Me not going live as consistently as I should. Google's been like, boom, pounding my algorithms into the dirt. So welcome to our place of dirt. So I enjoy everybody here. Bull of Woods with his funky font and his awesome avatar. Good morning. Gen Z, good morning. On the road to recovery. Good to see you, my friend. with the double horns. Let's go. Charity says, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Good morning from Nashville, Tennessee. Crashville. You know, on my Snorelord OG channel, I did a video a long, long time ago when I first started driving. I was in a traffic jam in Nashville, and I titled it Accident in Nashville. Something about the CB2. And all I was doing, it was from back then I had to mount the camcorder to the dash of the truck. You know, you old YouTubers like Eskimo Sean and Ike Stevens, you know what I'm talking about, right? And there was I was just listening to chatter on the CB, and what's funny is that video has a ton of views. Like, don't know why. I didn't show the accident. There's no aftermath. Just, you know, hey, I'm in a traffic jam in Nashville. So it's kind of crazy what Google decides to push the algorithms. It's one of my most viewed videos on that channel. Crazy. Shannon says, woohoo. She's going to be hanging out in the Ozarks for the weekend. Gen Z says, got TQL this week. Booked a round trip straight through that ended up having messed up delivery time and had to wait overnight. 7 weeks straight. Streak, no nights in the truck ruined. Well, yeah, you know, I tried calling TQL 3 times yesterday. And every time I called, it said, you know, the little voice, the AI robot voice says, you have 10 or more people in front of you in the queue. In other words, I was one of more than 10 people on hold. So I don't know if they like slashed all their agents or what, but yeah, it was kind of crazy what happened. So I finally got through. I was on the phone with Shannon when we finally got through because we were trying to find a load for her, and yeah, that was yeah. There's a lot of yesterday had a lot of Tuesday deliveries for 600-700 mile runs. Like it was crazy. I accidentally booked one and had to give the load back because common sense told me that this shouldn't deliver on Tuesday. It was, you know, but anyways, that's all. Yesterday was a tough day for me. I'll just, you know, and I explained that in my members only video that I'll probably make public here soon. So my backup was to make it public this morning if I didn't go live. So time is flying by, TJ. It is. Hey, I know this guy. Morning, all. Yep. I've barely seen Mrs. A. We've barely talked in the last 3 days because she's been quarantined in the bedroom there. There's the prayers. Thank you. Dan's trucking and outdoors. Good morning. I like that beard there. Night Ranger, good morning. I'm working on job anyhow. I'm not very happy about it though. Yeah. That's there's a lot of benefits to working at home, but one of the negative side effects is like I can't come in today. So I mean you can. I mean you can call she's calling sick before, but yeah, it's a little bit harder when you don't have to get up and go. Good morning from Freedom, Indiana. That's an interesting town name. Seeking a new ride. Oh man, Kevin. Ooh, man, sorry to hear that, dude. Working one job anyhow. Okay. Anyways, so let's go to the load boards because I don't know how long this video's last. I do have a truck that's starting to get empty today, but I just I wanted to go live. I wanted to kind of give over the market report. CDN sends me a market condition report. I want to go over it real quick. And there's a lot of people that are like, dude, I've missed your live feeds. And people keep saying I have words of wisdom. No, I don't think I do. I just see things differently. And a lot of things are back to basics, like knowing your numbers. Like I had an hour-long conversation with one of our drivers the other night. And I said, you got to go back to basics, man. Do the math, put it on paper. If you don't want to download a program like Truck and Office or something like that, just, you know, Put it on paper at least. Write it down. Have a visual of what your numbers are. Forgive me for a second here. So, anyways, that was the driver I was telling you about. All good, brother. Well, good deal, man. Good deal. You should have no trouble finding a new gig. All right, so let's share the screen here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I'm kind of amateur hour here. Let's see. Share screen. Got the wrong share thing. I removed all my history. Earlier, and now everything's all janky. I know my numbers. When the debit card won't swipe, it's time to go to work. You know, I know you're joking, but there's a lot of people that actually go by that. I've had people tell me I measure my success with my deposit slips. I'm like, good luck. Good luck with that. So SAP makes it rough. It's gone totally December 7th, though. Yeah, it does. Anyways, here's the 123 low board 48065 if you want to try it out for free for 30 days. I use this and a combination of this, the DAT board, and all the broker low boards such as CH, TQL, RXO, Nolan, RTS, Arrive, all these different associated low boards that are primarily ran and manipulated by AI and dynamic pricing, which is what my members video talks about. The computer is your enemy. It is. Everybody thinks that it's us against them with carriers and brokers. But the reality is the dynamic pricing is here. Hopefully, we'll never hit the grocery stores. Although in Europe, it's hitting the grocery stores at times. If you've ever used Uber or an airline, you know what you should know what dynamic pricing is. If you want to go to Denver on a plane on a Wednesday, you're probably going to get a cheaper rate than say on a Friday or a holiday. It's the same thing. That concept is here in the spot market. So a lot of times if you're trying to book ahead, it's difficult to get the rate up. If you are booking it last minute, the AI IT stuff is not working properly a lot of times. So, and they're using the algorithms. If you tend to be late all the time, if you don't send PODs, if you aren't good at communication, or if highway can't connect to your ELD, you tend to get a lower threshold of what you can ask for. So, yeah, Trinity has their own low board. They all do. I mean, I can look here. Let me show you something, guys. Let me show you something. This is Parade for Carriers. Look at all these brokerages that are using online platforms. So let's pick one. Let's pick Keller here, for example. I mean, this is, look at all of this. Parade is an AI platform. So let's go to, excuse me. Let's go to Keller here. All right. And let's show recommended loads. All loads. There we go. So here they got Coldwater, Michigan, going to London, Kentucky for today. Now it's showing 86,000 pounds. But this is where it gets kind of sketchy, right? This is what I was talking about. So it says ingots. What kind of truck does this say? 53 van. So anybody who's been around a minute knows that you can't put 86,000 pounds in a van. it will break. And now it has location hours, but does that mean it's an appointment? No additional stops in between. But see, what if I want to call and get the true weight of this? No one's going to answer the phone. And right now they're doing this at $900. So what's the mileage here? Total distance 400. So about a little over $2 a mile from Michigan to Kentucky. But we don't know the weight. We know the location hours, but do we know that there's an actual appointment time? And so if I hit this book now or place counter, I have to wait on a human to finally see that and send me the rate con. But this is one of many brokers that are on Parade, and Parade is just one platform. So, just be aware of that. But yeah, Trinity has their own low board. Load Smart has their own board. Echo has. You should see my tabs. I open like 20 tabs on my computer screens, and that's pretty much what I do. And if you're a single owner operator that's trying to book from the truck, that could become very difficult, especially if you're trying to maximize like I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking for freight when I was in my own truck. I used the 30-minute break primarily, or I would check the click and goes early in the morning, which seemed to be the peak time for like Uber and CH and all that. But for the most part, I would have to pull over into a truck stop, take a long lunch break while I was calling brokers and emailing, or a lot of times I was booking while I was empty or getting empty at the dock, because I ran the short game. In the short game, I was in the dock a lot. So if I'm running only 300 miles, I had a lot of time I was sitting instead of windshield time. So, but if you're running 600 miles, 700 miles consistently every day, then that's hard to do if you're booking your own truck. And that's what a lot of the drivers use me for, is to be the guy that helps them find loads. Because and to be honest with you, some people enter the spot market and they're overwhelmed. It's kind of like if you're starving and you go to a buffet that's got like 50 tables, right? And in a bad market, none of it looks good, but in a good market, it all looks good. And so all those choices can be overwhelming. And so, you gotta take that into account. You're gonna feel overwhelmed if you're new to the spot market, and you got to understand the dynamics of some of these companies that are using AI pricing and automatic. Like if you see an email on DAT that says email at blah 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 parade.ai.com, whatever, then you are going to be emailing a chatbot that will email you back. And then when you need a little bit more specific instructions, then the broker kicks in. Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say this, but a lot of agents are going to be replaced by AI. I'm already seeing it. Look at TQL. I was the 10th person in queue on the phone 3 different times during the day. So that means they cut their staff, right? And then I called a brokerage, and it immediately hung up on me because it didn't like my phone number. My phone number was uncompliant or whatever. So a human, I can explain what the situation is, but computer just flat out done, right? And so what they're doing is they're taking out, like, everybody, look, all the YouTubers a couple of years ago were freaking out over the self-driving trucks, right? Oh, they're going to replace you with computers. They're going to replace you with automated trucks, right? And that's a little bit harder to implement. That costs a lot more money, but you get on an AI platform now, like C.H. Robinson, they do their check calls with a bot person, and they're making these bot people sound more realistic. They're making them polite. They're giving them accents. They're having typing noises in the background to make it feel like you're talking to a human being. And so this is what you're negotiating against. Yes, Walmart does have their own load board. Walmart, it's I've had trouble with it. Like I can't quite get into it, and they've never really resolved it. But yeah, I mean it's I'm checking like 20 different things. Like if I'm on DAT or 123 and I see something that from a broker that has their own board, then I'll go to their board and check it out because I can see the times, I can see the customers most cases, or I can kind of figure out the customers by looking at the weight in the city that it's in. Like for example, if I see Henrietta and it says 43,000 pounds glass bottles, I know that exact shipper. If it says Kansas City and it's 45.5, then that's more likely it's Niagara Water, especially if it's doing a shorty to either Costco or Walmart or Sam's. So I mean, picking out those things. So, but for a new person that doesn't know any of that, that could be very overwhelming. And so I have drivers call me when they're overwhelmed because sometimes you just have 30 choices of crap. And it got to the point yesterday trying to move one truck that I started to forget, even though I was keeping track of who I contacted. So there was one load. I was like, hey, I'm interested in your load, blah, blah, blah. The bot emails me back. Can you do it? I'm like, yes, I can. Truck will be empty, blah, 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 blah. No response. And then an hour and a half later, it said, even though I didn't email it back or anything, it said, this load is now gone. I'm like, well, who got it? Because you weren't willing to give it to me, even though I agreed to your rate. Even though I'm like, yeah, here's my empty truck. Let's go. But because there was no human behind the screen, it got lost in the shuffle. And now they're using, like, a lot of shippers are using AI to do the scheduling. And so all these people that have been running these loads illegal, as super solos or, or whatever, super teams or whatever, strong, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The guys that are switching their signs at the truck stop, that are changing their authorities like you change your underwear. Those people have screwed up the analytics on how long it takes to do a load. If you're trying to go from, say, like Michigan to Atlanta, and you got to do it in one shot, that's very difficult to do because of traffic. Same thing, like if you're going from St. Louis, you might go through Memphis, you're going to go through Nashville, and then you got to go through Chattanooga, and then you got to go through Atlanta. You're not going to get 650 miles in a day doing that. But yet the AI doesn't see it that way. And so these are the things I've been up against for the last few months, and it's wearing me out a little bit. So at this point, it's not about the rates per se. It's about the computer algorithms that are designed to go against you, the carrier, the driver. And so every time that you have one of these, rogue carriers that unplug their ELD, or they're willing to use personal conveyance wrongly, or they're switching their signs or creating a ghost team member to make the run work, every time you do that, it makes it worse on everybody else because it's screwing up the AI deal that schedules these trucks. So, I mean, and that's what you're up against. That's what you're dealing with, right? All this market crap that I'm going to show you, that's part of the element that no one's really talking about. We could talk about tariffs. We can talk about pricing. We can talk about supply and demand. We can talk about, rails and warehouses and all that stuff. But the reality is, the thing that I'm seeing that's keeping me from doing my job effectively is the AI dynamic pricing and scheduling, and the fact that I can't talk to a human when I want to. That's what we're up against. And then you have all the different load boards that don't show you average rates. So you might pick a low, oh man, they're paying $1,000 to do this and this. When normally that lane pays 1,500, which again, that's by design. They want to, they're counting on you to not do your numbers. They're counting on you to not know what you need. They're counting on you to be as dumb as you possibly can. So they could take advantage of it. And then that all affects the dynamic pricing. So stick with the brokers that you can actually talk to. Stick to the freight that AI hasn't quite mastered yet. You know, when Niagara Water has 50 water loads going to all the different Walmarts in the area, AI can handle that no problem. In fact, you go pick up a load of water at Niagara, you're not even going to talk to a human for the most part, except when you check in. And that's outsourced. You give them, those of you who don't know, when you go to Niagara Water, you go to this call box and somebody from overseas gets your pickup number. They tell you what door to go in. And then you have to be just perfect because they're using robots to load the truck. You have to be just perfect in the dock. And then when it's done, you're instructed by the call box that when you're done, when you get a green light, pull forward, and then you check yourself out. You go up to the guard shack, grab your own seal, type everything into a sweaty iPad that everybody's touched, and then you seal the thing and you go. If you're overweight or if there's something special circumstances, I've had to try to get a person at Niagara Water. It was next to impossible. I had to catch guys that were on their lunch break or smoke break. And that's the world that we're entering. And so the more you can kind of keep away from that, you're not going to completely get away from it, but it'll at least delay it. You know, I remember when everybody was talking about the automated trucks, you know, self-driving trucks. Well, do the jobs that self-driving trucks can't do. And you don't have to worry about it. Because everybody's like, and everybody's using this clickbait, you know, this fear-mongering YouTube algorithm that they like, you know. And it was a way to create drama without going after, you know, other YouTubers. But, you know, but what was happening is everybody's like, oh man, self-driving trucks are going to take your job, blah, 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 blah. Well, then do the stuff that can't be done. Can a self-driving truck do tanker? Can a self-driving truck, you know, run through the mountains of Montana? They haven't proven that yet. So, I mean, yeah, but these are the things you got to look ahead. You got to look at what the future is showing you and what the struggles you're having now. And so if you can't do basics like know your numbers, keep your costs low, quit spending your money on crap that you can't afford because you have a transmission that's going to go down that's going to cost you 30 grand. If you can't even do that, then you don't have a prayer's chance with what's coming. Now, the good news is that will eliminate some of your competition that's taken this freight. And everybody looking for the total immigrant withdrawal from the industry, that's going to take time. You can't just remove 150,000 drivers right like that. You just can't do it. It's not physically possible. So by the time that gets evened out, they're going to have another thing that's going to go against you. So you got to be on your A game if you want to be successful in this industry. Yeah, Ponzi. Crap data will produce crappy results eventually, yeah. Doesn't sound like the DOT is doing their job if drivers can win. Okay, so think about this. How many, there's like what, 3 or 4 million trucks on the road? And how many DOT officers are there? I mean, it's no different than any other crime. Like, you know, I mean, you know, don't do drugs. Drugs are illegal, but yet you got cartels that are pumped full of money. So it's they're doing their job as much as they can. But then, you know, but look, The president had to implement something that another president took away. And so they weren't told to do their job. And now they're being told that they have to do their job. And that's going to take time. That's going to take, and somebody's going to find a loophole and everything else. Do you think that the ELP enforcement will create a surge like the ELD mandate did in 2018? I think it'll expose all the truth stretching that's happening. It's doing that now, but slowly. Right now, I'm starting to see scheduling changing a little bit. But it's hard to tell a computer AI, hey, you can't do 800 miles picking up at 10 a.m. on Monday and delivering at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. You can't, and that's a 780-mile run. You can't do that, not legally, as a solo, and you can't tell a computer that. So by the time you get to a real human being, that load's gone because someone took it because they're willing to unplug the ELD. They're willing to tell, yeah, we can do that, and just create the circumstance that they'll be late because of a blown tire or something like that. And so that's why all these rate cons say you $150 fine if you're late. Like I put in a rate con the other day. It was a $1,500 flat rate, and then it was $100 macro point, $100 on time pickup, $100 on time delivery. All these things listed as accessorials. So if you miss any of those, boom, they could cut the rate, and you're none the wiser until it comes time to pay the invoice. So I mean that's kind of where we're at, right? But I don't think it's going to see the ELD mandate happened. Like we all knew it was coming, but then it changed overnight. Not all states are going to change overnight. Like Florida got aggressive. I think Oklahoma got aggressive. Arkansas got aggressive. But are the other states being aggressive? No. Is California being aggressive? No. They're the ones. Them in New York were the ones that were giving away the non-domicile CDLs that said no name given. And one of the effects of that no one has talked about is that screwed up the algorithms. Yeah, how many times have you called on a load and you tell the broker that's not possible? Oh, we got trucks that do this all the time. They're able to do 800 miles in one shift. Okay. That tells me that's a broker I don't want to work with, because they're ignoring the truth of what it really takes to run within the hours of service regulations. So, can you help me? I need a lot of help. You do need a lot of help, Randy. You do. Robots are gentle in the trailers, but they're pulling like, what is it, 2 or 4 pallets at the time. You can feel your trailer just they're in there. But I had a Raycon that had 250 lined out for tarping, but if I'm trying to negotiate a tarp fee, brokers only want to pay $50. I wouldn't know about that. I don't dispatch a whole lot of flatbeds. So anyways, here's the overall market. The fact that this is almost in the loose category is kind of neat. And looks like van is getting closer to the loose market. So there is some volume happening here. So that's good. That's good news. Let's throw some good news here. If we look at DAT trend line spot rates, look like there's a trend going upward. Right now, we're a little bit higher in October. We're trending higher in October than we were in September in van and in flatbed and in reefer. So that's good news, right? That's good news. Now, if you're sitting there in El Paso, Texas, you may not believe these numbers because you're not seeing this. But if you're in Ohio, you're probably like, yeah, man, let's go. So I'm not going to get too deep into these charts because I got to make this a shorter video. Looks like container volume is coming down a little bit. Uh, China expanded its control over rare earth minerals exports on Thursday, prompting the White House to announce it could impose a 100% tariff on China by November, marking an escalation in the U.S. China trade conflict and raising uncertainty across global supply chains. Pay attention to that. China announced that starting October 14th, it will start charging U.S. ships for docking at Chinese ports. China will charge 400 yuan, $56 per net ton for the U.S. vessels. Beijing has also had plans to increase fees over time through April 17, 2028. Montgomery Transport, this is big news. LLC, a Birmingham, Alabama-based trucking company, filed for Chapter 7 and ceased operations effective immediately last week, resulting in approximately 1,000 employees losing their jobs, including 600 truck drivers who were actively working on deliveries across the country when the announcement was made. It always seems to be the flatbed companies that do that, right? Like you're in the middle of delivering your load. They're like, hey, it sucks to be you, but we're done. Deliver the load and wait for further announcements. And that's why if you're a company driver, always have the means to be able to pay for fuel to get home. Because if everybody was around during the Arrow incident, I mean, all these companies were trying to get people like, hey, if you know an Arrow driver that's stranded, because they were told to just like their fuel cards were shut off. And a lot of people, it was amazing how many people couldn't get home because they didn't have the money to get home. And so, you know, if I'm working as a company driver and I'm told that we're ceasing operations immediately, deliver your last load and turn your truck into a dealership, I'm paying for fuel and I'm taking the truck home. So that's what I'm doing, right? So now here's another one that's affecting everybody. The new ATRI report finds U.S. cargo theft costs exceeded $6.6 billion a year, or about 18 million daily, with 74% of stolen goods never recovered. That is insanity. Transportation attorney Gary Greig stated carriers and brokers should audit all existing employer contract drivers after FMCSA's September emergency rule cast down on non-domiciled CDLs. The FMCSA estimates 194,000 of 200,000 non-domiciled CDL holders could exit over 2 years. So there goes your answer, CFH, is that it's going to take a couple of years, right? U.S. container imports fell 8.4% year over year in September to 2.3 million TEUs, the steepest drop of 2025. In a trucking dive analysis of FMCSA operating authority data for quarter 3, it was confirmed that exits have outpaced new grants and reinstatements. So that's good news. People are leaving the market. White House announced that it has pushed the start date of 25% duties on medium and heavy duty trucks back from October 1st, November 1st, after receiving pushback from OEMs. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon has announced a 3-year hiring. Got clipped. Hiring freeze on employee growth. The company expects its 2.1 million headcounts to remain flat as it assesses the impact of AI on its business model. There you go. Look at that. I'm going to read that again. Walmart CEO has announced a 3-year hiring freeze on employee growth. The company expects its 2.1 million headcounts to remain flat as it assesses the impact of AI on its business model. What does that mean? Well, that probably means that, hey, what jobs can we get AI to do? So let's not hire any but new people. Think about that. So it goes back to what I was saying this morning. See, I didn't read this report until now. This is the first time I'm reading this. But I've pointed some things out that I've seen with my experience that this is talking about. And then it's come out with the 2026 split schedule. So in January, you're going to have human trafficking awareness. International Road Check is scheduled for May. Operation Safe Driver Week is scheduled for July. So, anyways, all right, let's do load availability, and then we're going to cut this one off a little bit. So let's go to van. This is 123 low board 48065. If you want to see this for yourself, don't take my word for it. Good morning, Steve. I'm late. These reports don't tell the reality. We have many agents doing extremely well, increasing profit year over year. Why? Relationships and not watching doom reports. This is not a doom report. The relationships, and so if you go back to the beginning of this video, CDN, I'm talking about the difficulty of human relationships because of a lot of brokerages going with AI, to the point that they're using AI to approach the customers for pricing. So yes, there are, and a lot of brokerages are showing profit because they've gotten rid of half their workforce. That's kind of a play for the stock CK with the market, because you can show, oh, look at all this profit, because you laid off 1,000 people, that kind of thing. So this is not a doom report. This is what's happening right now. So this is for van. Colorado's green, which we kind of went over that anomaly last week. Let's take a look at Missouri, see what outbound looks like. 343 loads. Sort this by pickup date. See if there's a lot of stuff for today right now. Yep. Albany, Missouri to Bentonville, Arkansas, shorty. Eagle Pass, Texas, Billings, Montana. A lot of stuff that no one wants to do. Here we go. Higginsville. I've done this load many, many times. This Higginsville to Searcy, Arkansas. It's very light, and it usually has like a late afternoon Saturday delivery on it. Is what it goes to either Searcy or Clarksville. At one time, it paid $3 a mile. That was the going rate. Joplin, Temple, Texas. That's going to be dog food or water or Coke. Kansas City to Fife. That might be Granger. Is it light? No, it says heavy, but Monette to Burn, Kansas, another shorty. Morehouse, that might be scrap metal or feed. That's about the only thing that comes out of Monette. Not a whole lot of posted rates right now. St. Charles, North Platte, that's PLS. It's going to be shopping carts. Another one, the Laredo. St. Joseph to Park City, Kansas. That's another shorty. Park City is going to put you in the Wichita market. St. Louis to Phoenix. Let's take a look at this one. No posted rate, because it's the day of. They want you to name your price, and they hope you go low, because it's got to move. And that's how I've determined when load's going to move. That's been my experience. $1.73 to go to California. Wow, that's rare. Usually you're looking at $1.20, $1.30. So let's take a look at this one. No multiple stops listed. Oh, it's hazmat. There you go. See how I've been doing this long enough that if I see a rate that's actually higher than it's what it normally is, I'm like, yeah, there's something to it. It's either drop trailer, hazmat, multiple stops that aren't listed, or it's something of that nature. Because if this was truly a good load, like let's say it wasn't hazmat, this load would be gone by now, because it's way above what is normally going for this rate going to California. A driver was instructed that the hours were between 6:30 and 2. So he gets there at 6:30, and they're like, "What are you doing here? We don't open till 7:30." And that's why, like, there's a lot of miscommunication that can waste our time. So we started our clock earlier on a Friday than we had to. So good news is I'm not too pressed for time, but I will end this shortly. Um, then now we're getting into posted. So there's a lot of freight today that hasn't been covered yet. So that means it's a last minute market, and a lot of times they're keeping the rate down until the day of. And a lot of them are just pushing it to the next day, right? The Friday 3 o'clock shuffle is now the Friday 7 a.m. shuffle, and the 3 o'clock shuffle in the afternoon is now a ghost town. Now it's the 6 a.m. shuffle with the computers, right? And if you quote too high, they just don't answer you. They just don't answer you. The digital version of hanging up on you, right? And those of you who knew this, those of you in the spot market have had brokers hang up on you because of the rate you're asking. And if you haven't, then you're doing something wrong, right? So let's look at Ohio. Ohio's got the highest volume. Looks like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, PA. Um, Now, Georgia has been a crap show for a while. Yeah, there's more loads in Ohio than posted here and then than in Texas. So let's take a look at Ohio. Let's see what we're looking at here. If you sort this by age, it will tell you what these, like this one's just posted 16 seconds ago. Now this is a 2-hour run for $600. Now, if it picks up and delivers today, you might still get something in the afternoon, but then you might want to have something lined up in the afternoon. But this probably doesn't deliver till Monday. So you're going to go home under a load. You're not doing a 34 for a $600 load, just doesn't seem right for me. See, okay, so check this out. So this is here in Ohio to Lawrenceville, Georgia, 250 a mile. Okay. So if we're looking at a higher rate going into an area, you got to look at the area coming out, because the dynamic pricing is going to tell them, hey, give them the money going in because it's going to suck coming out. And so when I see rates rise going into, like, say, Georgia or Florida, then what I do is I look at the outbound volumes and go, okay, that's why. Whereas a few months ago when Georgia was on fire, it was tougher to get a good rate. But what I liked about that market is I was getting consistent rates going back and forth, both directions, versus feast one way and famine the other. Right? Yeah, this kind of extra stop, so that's why. So just something to kind of consider. All right. Wimpy McCoat is in here. Thank you for your presence. So, anyways, let's look at flatbed and step deck. Flatbed was original 123 low boards original, like, platform. So there's still a lot of flatbed companies or brokerages that post on here. Like here, they're showing almost 1,000 loads out of Alabama here. Southeast, Northwest is waking up with the flatbed. So let's take, looks like Oregon has the highest volume of flatbeds. Take a look at what the rates look like. 327 to go into California from Portland. Let's take a look at this one. Let's say we want to do a back and forth. Let's just make I-5 our world here. So we'll do Portland to Sacramento. So we'll go over here to market rates. And we'll put this on flatbed. 311 a mile. But if we reverse it, 271 a mile. So you're getting kind of even numbers both directions. So if you live out west, go back and forth, right? And that's where these tools are important. It is expensive to drive through Oregon. You're right. I looked at van volume last night. Washington, Oregon surprised me. Yeah, so that's the ports filling up, I imagine. So, all right, let's go to reefer here. Reefer is going to look like a checkerboard. A lot of mixture, a lot of produce is in season. A lot of the frozen snacks for the holidays are shipping right now. A lot of candy has been shipping for a minute. That has to be put on a reefer. And then harvested frozen vegetables are big right now. So definitely want to stay out of these red states here. And then flowers are shipping as well. Mums, and I don't know. I think it might just be over mum season, but then you've got the Christmas flowers and all that are happening. So anyways, 48065 if you want to try it out for free for 30 days. If you want to support the channel, there's the information below. Thank you for watching. It's Friday. Have a good weekend. Hopefully you're profitable or you're getting some rest. So, and then we'll attack next week as much as we can. So, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. And don't run illegal, man. Okay? And for the love of God, stop going live or joining live feeds while you're driving. That's not cool. Peace.